Secret House Against. Tokyo-based hip-hop art and culture conversations. Today we got Elspay back for recording while he's in town. He'll be back, though, eventually, and the seat is always warmed.
Yeah.
There's a fresh pile of bricks left for him to sit. But yeah, today we are going to discuss the newest Jesse the Tree album, Not Fade Away, which released on February 3rd. This is 13 songs, 41 minutes. Jesse the Tree is an MC, rapper, poet, artist type, associated with the heroic, long-running underground hip-hop imprint, Strange Famous. I'm not sure he's like signed or whatever, but you know, he a Rhode Island cat, Sage Francis Rhode Island cat. Shout out to Sage Francis. Shout out to Rhode Island. Jesse has been putting out music for several years, going back to at least 2017's Sean Hemp, 2022 collaboration with Mopes on Tree Man, Treely Dance, several more, and he's collaborated with some of the most champion and hardest working cats in the underground community. Last year we reviewed his project with
Andrew,
Sleeping Dogs, and also Scott Popular was here for that.
Yeah, shout out to Scott.
This album actually is a full production run again from Andrew. You know, I guess their Sleeping Dogs project is a little bit more of a back and forth with the rappings and the sing song styling coming through. But this is like this is just a Jesse the Tree piece that comes with an incredibly dope album cover. I love the album cover. First off, mixed medium collage looking esque. But anyways, since we've got Elspay here, and what we like to do is tell you how we know the artist to let you know what we're getting into here. How do y'all know Jesse the Tree, Andrew?
through the Sleeping Dogs joint that we reviewed last year.
I just heard about the guy when you said let's review it.
Okay, bet power. Anywho, that means we can get right into the album and let you guys know what we're thinking.
Can I go and start this off?
Yeah, kick it off.
Hey, I love this album, the content and the topics, man. You really hit on a bunch of topics that really touched me. And I will say, one good thing about this genre as it starts to grow in the underground scene, I'm not saying y'all listen to me. I'm not saying I'm the reason for this. But let me tell you something, man. Y'all are really taking y'all mixes serious.
5 minutes and 16 seconds.
Not everybody making music in the underground listens to Secret House, bro.
I'm gonna tell you something, though. Seriously. I've been listening to a lot more underground music, especially since I've been back in America, and you guys are actually taking your mix serious, and it sounds way better. The production on this album was great. I loved it. I loved the full production. You had keyboards, you had drums that pronounced, you had lyrics to sit on top of everything. It was great. Nothing. And when I heard Jesse the Tree rap, I was thinking to myself, like, this sounds like fake AJ Suede at points. I was like, it'd be awesome if AJ Suede was on this album.
You understand that this is like a rap style, right?
Like, seriously, I'm like, he's doing the Suede style. Like, so who's this? J.A. Velvet? I'm like, what the hell? But I was like, I wonder how these guys will sound together.
I disagree with that.
No, seriously, if you listen to Jesse the Tree at times, I'm like, man, this sound like
they both
AJ
real, like,
Suede.
nonchalant rhymers
like,
that aren't like super serious MC Craftsman.
But I
like,
will say, Jesse has better storytelling than AJ. I will say that. His storytelling, his topics are a little bit more on point than AJ for me. But when I saw AJ was on this album, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting for me because they both sound alike. But overall, man, great album, great production, dude. You get nothing from me. And once again, keep it going, man. The full musicality, live drums on every track. Nice.
Technical issues right there. We're back.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. I think I'm gonna be the villain in this episode. Like, I thought it was alright, but I didn't hold a candle to the Sleeping Dogs for me.
Okay.
I really like the Sleeping Dogs record. I feel like this one has moments that are every bit up there. But in terms of consistency, there were some tracks on here that I didn't much care for. I think maybe just because the vibe of the album generally is very easygoing. It's very chill, kind of goes at a slow pace. And in places I think it's very, very effective. You have some really beautiful chord progressions.
Yes.
You know, Andrew on the production does a really, really phenomenal job. Jesse gets off on a lot of these tracks, but then there were also some times where it kind of just lost me a little bit. I found myself drifting away from some of these tracks.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can get that. Like, first, let me just say that I really kind of appreciate Andrew's production on this album. It's one of the things that like helps me enjoy Jesse the Tree album more. I think for just a variety of reasons, he's not my favorite MC like that. But the beats are dope. It feels like Andrew pulls from a very different type of sample catalog that you get from a lot of artists. There's kind of a level of like even it's even different than your other guys like Televangel or Blockhead, who also don't necessarily pull from like the black American music catalog, you know, of soul, funk, jazz and shit like that. A lot of this feels a little bit more like your psychedelic rock, your classic rock, your folk, and a lot of other sounds that you usually don't get. And I think that that's one of the things that really sparks like this level of nostalgia for me. It doesn't remind me of chilling with my parents. It reminds me of like a certain hour on the radio back when we didn't have MP3s like that. When you ride with your dad and you're like 8 years old in 1990, and that, you know, the classic rock sound kind of comes through. And there's this kind of like this fearless aspect about his production, just grabbing like full samples of things that are like not necessarily familiar to me, or I don't know if they're like deep cuts or whatever, but I really appreciate that, especially in today's space where an algorithm hears like a half portion second of a song and automatically sends the copyright information and can get you plugged up like that. I do like that. I do like the way that he flips these weird like sample approaches. Like sometimes the sample just, hold on, I'm playing some unknown, hold on, I'm just trying to get to something that's not so crazy in the background, but you know, he'll flip something and then he'll like let it ride out for a second or change it really quickly. And I'm starting to become a huge fan of his production. That was one of my favorite things on the Sleeping Dogs. Now the Sleeping Dogs album, if you recall, I was saying like, man, this album makes me feel kind of happy. This album does the same. This album reminds me of spring, and it's kind of the first album that we're getting into that is like, and the Heems, I guess, that is like, we're coming into spring, the season's changing, and it's also kind of giving me a really dope, pleasant vibe. Now, the thing that I really look at Jesse for doing is not necessarily like his bar styles, right? And to me, this is also a thing that is distinctive about his approach than a Suede or than a Slug or any of the other type of underground rappers that might be comparable to this approach. Like, you know, even a Zilla or just name anybody that we really review on the channel. He's great. He's fully capable of approaching pretty much any content that you like. His style is very suitable for that. But there's just kind of this consistent, personal, and introspective emphasis that he has about mental health in his lyrics that are like, and it's also, he's very kind of like politically present with a lot of things, secondary, but it creeps into the brain space. The way he navigates the topic of mental health just works so much better for me than other artists. He, you know, me and Jet, we're pretty critical of a rapper who's like, this is how you be better. We don't like self-help books. We don't fuck with Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan, Alpha Brain, 48 Laws of Power.
And I don't either for the record.
Right. But Jet and I have literally like it's been a consistent thing that, you know, I'm not saying you're not on this,
just
but yeah,
in.
But you know that Elspeth doesn't like Jordan Peterson either.
Well, I don't know. Are you on the Rich Dad Poor Dad books? Probably not.
DJ
But
Elspeth fills me with this sense of doom that just lingers.
I don't
Sorry,
know why.
back to the album. It's really
it makes
fucking good.
me. I don't know. Even when you do it so well. It makes me angry a little bit.
I am not a lobster.
But there is like a subtle but important difference between somebody tossing advice about self-help, like don't be sad, and somebody opening up about their experience. And to me, like, I just feel like when you come across people that are discussing like happiness and stress relief and using therapy language and dating apps and all this nonsense, it's something that I really don't like. And for me, Jesse the Tree doesn't preach to me. He doesn't do this like happiness is easier for me. He doesn't do like anger, happiness, despair, anxiety, or apathy like any of the other artists really does. But he connects with me about part of his shit because like his openness and just like really subtly sprinkling it in there to me. One of the things that really like about the albums, like the first, let me see, what is it? Number 2, Bug Flesh, right? There's like this thing that's at the end of the song, like a vocal sample that's like, I want to say you're doing great. I know it's all bad overlapping. It's like a vocal sample, right? But it's not like, you're going to be okay, Elspeth.
Right.
And it doesn't do any of that for me. But when I listen to that and then the beat shift that Andrew does at the end, that shit is like a chakra unlocking, and it just feels good. And I'm not saying that this whole album is themed with mental health shit, but there's a few, there's a lot of it on there, but none of it comes across to me as like a
it's not
like,
preachy.
It's not
like
in no way, bro.
Yeah.
And,
but the Jets' point about the lyrics,
I like
though,
that.
It did kind of like almost get me. I was listening to this album until I got down to Butterfly Tattoo.
yeah.
And the flow changed and the cadence changed. I was like, okay, all
Vocal
right.
samples, ill.
Man, isn't it?
That
though?
track's really good.
I was like,
I was
okay.
like, can you do that? Like, yeah, this nigga cheating, bro. How do I not know this song,
Bruh,
but it works?
It was so good because
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you can freak it differently.
Yeah.
And it actually brought me back in because before I was like the same way. I'm like, these lyrics are kind of like wearing down on me, kind of like the Heems album, but I saw that he can do it differently, and it's back to the topics, like you said. Though the topics about the mental health really worked for me.
Yeah, like even this vocal sample, like it's not like, oh, it's time to be sad. It's kind of like a melancholy.
It's
like
melancholy. It's
there's
very
a very like a stony spring day haze melancholy approach, like kind of like the stoner just getting through the day type of
Doesn't sound like
personality.
a sample
I,
either.
I also think maybe that's why this album isn't gelling with me in the way that it's gelling with you two, because you even highlighted like nostalgia for like a specific moment in time in 1990 or whatever, and
We
it's
old,
like
gotcha.
I have no and also you're American,
right.
And
Yeah.
like,
Old American.
that 90s Americana obviously doesn't connect with me at all.
Sure.
Because that's just not my context.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there's an element of that where it's just like I am not getting this sense of nostalgia in the same way that you guys are, because the mood being put across just doesn't really apply to my lived experience. I think for me also it is just the fact that like
Maybe life is just an appetite.
as good as some of the rapping is on here, it is generally like mid-tempo or
It is.
slow. And on the Sleeping Dogs, there's a little bit more of that back and forth. There's a bit more of that urgency. There's a little bit more of that aggression there. That this record isn't going for that. You know, the album's called Not Fade Away, right? It's literally, you know, not going quietly into the night, as it were. I think on like a technical level, like it's a pretty phenomenal record. As we've said, the production's really good. I think Jesse gets off on here. I really like some of the features on here as well. AJ Suede's great on here. I like
Ill Subliminal
on
too.
OMC.
Sycamores.
But yeah,
I do get that it doesn't hit, like I mean, I don't know, but the first track is called Audrey Horne, and that's a character from Twin Peaks, which was off air before we were in high school, and not necessarily something you would get into unless you went back to
I mean,
watch.
I
Lynch,
have a
you
lot
know?
of white friends. I know about Twin Peaks, but yeah,
that's another
it's,
thing about this like I grew up in California, and I grew up with like
Right the wrong.
I grew up with where it's like the skateboard scene was kind of emerging a little bit more, and a lot of the white homies kind of would resonate with this more than like the black homies, which is like something to say about Sage Francis and a lot of underground hip hop cats that came from that era. It's like underground was kind of meshing with that and other subcultures, but yeah, it is almost like a distinctly American kind of sound to me personally.
I just, like when Spade refers to something as dirgy or lackadaisical, like that was also kind of how I felt about this one. in
Okay.
places.
So here's the thing, I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm gonna say, man, this definitely hit the mood I'm in right now. I would say it fit. I'm not in a bad place, but I'm in a place
Okay.
where
You
I
good, bro?
am grieving.
Yeah.
But like this actually, I was like, yeah, you know what? This is it's gonna be okay album,
Word.
right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not super inspirational, high tempo. Like, go ahead, Marcus, you can make it. But it is one of those like, shit ain't that bad.
Yeah, it's just going.
I kind of like it, and it does fit the place and headspace I am now. So it is kind of some bias on that. I think maybe Spade last year would have been like lackadaisical, but you know, right now I'm like, yeah, this fits my mood.
It kind of reminds me of the Pioneer 11 Reese Langston album we reviewed last year.
Okay.
Or a couple years ago, which also has this kind of Americana, folky, yeah, I don't know, like sun rising over a cornfield type mood to it.
Iowa.
I mean that in a positive way. I think, you know, it does do a really good job of like setting a scene and putting you in a certain place and time. But that was also an album I was like less enthusiastic about compared to you.
Cornfields.
I haven't really gone through. I made all my notes about this album kind of the beginning of the week last week, and I hadn't gone through and played over it again. But as I look at my notes here, like songs like Pale Horse with Rapman Gavin, like that one is not so lackadaisical or melancholy like that. It's actually fucking just precision wordsmith topical concept bombing there. It's actually dope as fuck. And when I listened to that, I was like, who is Rapman Gavin? And I went to People's newest project, and it's dope. And it's like, to live and die in any given place. It's just an EP, but it's fucking ill, and I'm a fan now. The way that they bomb on this track, like they had to have the idea and both like right to flesh it out, but it feels like a little bit more urgent. It's like they follow the kind of pattern of that short kind of sample loop, and they go back and forth and combine the chorus, and it's fucking dope. There's a fire on top of the mountain. They watch and do nothing about it. I can hear or see the water surrounding the perimeter. Yeah, behold a pale horse. You know what I mean? It is kind of that stoner homie
That's
that
a good
had,
song. Heaven's good too, man. I really like Heaven.
those keys are really dope. It's a kind of a serious story that feels kind of dark in a serious way, but it plays like more as like honesty on it. Like, listen, tell me your thoughts on that one if you listen to this album. I don't know. More at bats coming, but the strikes still sting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff that I just get from
the
this.
storytelling is really good on this album too, man. The storytelling and the what's the word I'm looking for? Metaphors. Yeah, that's the word. Are great.
Yeah.
Well, I do like how Jesse is able to like flip back and forth between like between being very impressionistic and colorful and just like kind of letting your imagination fill in the gaps, and then also going to like being very grounded and accurate and setting a scene very accurately. And he's able to kind of flip very effortlessly between those two different modes, which I think is fucking ill.
Just don't like it, Jed.
I know it just hasn't really clicked.
Not everything is for everybody.
Not everything's for everyone.
Not everything is for everybody.
Stop L spading it. Ugh, gross.
No. If I was El Spain, I'd be like, yo, Jesse, listen to me, Jesse the tree. This shit's trash.
Shit booty.
This shit booty butt cheek.
I took the Decca review off because I was tired. Somebody said, you know what's really booty? Calling him neoliberal. And I was like, whoa.
Somebody said
The disrespect. The disrespect. Yeah, I had so many Decca comments. I was like, I'm just taking this one off. They're not fucking with us on this one. But this song, OMC with Il Subliminal, this is sunny and spring as fuck and intentionally nostalgic. Like, fucking.
This beat is so good.
It is.
Yeah, like fucking Il Subliminal is hard as fuck. Handing out fades on Maury live with the studio audience. Yeah.
Stop acting all sporty, wormholes and shit. Beer 2009, Rick and Morty. Tell whoever planning to see.
He'd be saying some shit like, my every channel dystopian apocalypse. My favorite are The Road and Children's of Men. He bombs the whole shit.
Audience simulation programming gets boring. Every channel dystopian apocalypse. My favorite are The Road and Children's of Men. The new Matrix keeps trying to make fetch happen. Riding with Julio on the bench for telling the pedophile he's the captain. Somali.
Yeah, he's dope, bro. Like, I was like, yo, this is fucking fire. And I was just like, yeah, that feel good. Yeah,
it's about 5 p.m. right now, and it's a nice day. And I have to say, I am thinking like I might have to just walk home tonight and listen to this record. Like, that's kind of the vibe.
It'll fit.
Toy Machine, obviously like a dope name, but also skate culture type of shit. You know what I mean? Listen to this heavy guitar loop. It's fucking. He be pulling from like a different.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said less guitar.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said that.
Skin my knuckles on the bottom of the ocean. Yeah.
Burn slowly over these old bones, and all that's left is a skull full of lonesome.
It's fucking dope. Like you can listen to most of the songs on this album and find little interesting elements that Andrew really put into the production to make it more than here's a guitar sample, a couple drums, a little bit of an effect here. Let me go ahead and turn that up a bit. And it's like, he adds and pulls and pushes like some of the doper boom bap sample based producing artists right now.
You can't tell me this don't sound like AJ Sway though.
I mean, they both got a laid back flow. I agree with
Twins.
you.
The cadence is like a little more like
Like, I'm pretty sure like he does something like during the chorus part, but like
I
he's
see
dumb.
green. I see red.
I just like it.
I see dead people.
Producers, sample-based producers are just getting iller. It's good. We've moved up from that lo-fi hip hop producer.
Thank you, man,
that
because
are-
Puffy had killed the sample. Then Kanye brought it back and killed it again, and now you guys are doing great stuff. With
And then
samples.
when Dilla and Nujabes died, everyone was just like, "Oh, so you can just take a jazz loop and make it sound dusty, and then that's all you have to do."
Put a
And then we,
lo-fi
and then we
filter.
legit got like lo-fi beats to fucking hug your boyfriend too type of
God.
shit, and it
Worst
just got really
dark
boring.
days.
But you know, like even when Puffy killed it, like sample-based hip hop was still ill as fuck because you had that whole resurgence of like IDM type of artists, like your Prefuses, your Datalists, your I mean, like a Machine Drum, and all these
Machine
people.
Drum,
Even Boards of Canada were pushing the progression of like sample-based electronic music, and the only reason it didn't explode in the mainstream is because clearing samples was the
hard.
issue. So people got into their fucking Korg Triton bags, and they got into all their other bags to kind of circumvent that. And I feel like hip hop lost a little bit of its like a part of its like hold culturally,
Well, you know
because
why,
the
though.
samples
I mean-
the samples tied it to so many other different things that were wider about it, and then it got really boring, and it got to the point where it's like, in order to make a dope sample based beat, you really gotta be a
money.
little bit more thoughtful about like how they harmonize together than just, this is a dope loop, let's throw some drums on it, finish. And what people like Andrew and Televangel and Blockhead and
Navy
and,
Blue.
Steel Tip
and
Dove.
so many of these cats, like even the cats that are freaking it a little bit more strange, like your Mikes and Ade Hakim and like, name anybody that we really talk about, fucking Jason Griff, and all these fools are like, to me, I just feel like there's kind of a resurgence of the sample right now that I'm absolutely loving. When you get something like that Heaven shit, I'm just like, is this allowed still?
Yeah.
That shit is crazy. Yeah, I love this. I really do enjoy this album, and again, I feel slightly indebted to them because on some points this album works better for me than my fucking 60 milligrams of Cymbalta that I have to
that's a
pop
good
every
point.
day
Yeah.
to not kill these people.
Right.
So I'd be mad angry. I got into an argument with a Japanese dude at 6 a.m. the other day when I was out during my bender. He could speak English and shit, and he tried to ask me for coke, and I was like,
Okay,
"Bruh."
you know, I had that today, and I had to catch myself because I was at the gym, and it was like a little sign-in list, and I made a mistake and put my name there, and this Japanese dude, me. I went, you? What the hell? I'm like, bruh. I don't know. That just made me so mad. I was like, if you can't say no more than one word, speak to me in Japanese, bruh.
Word.
Like,
Yeah, man.
give me one word, you, me. I'm like, me. Like, punch you in the damn face. Anger. Working on that.
I conversate with nature. Don't hate the player. Hate the ones that hoard the paper. Ancient prayer. Ghidorah spitting phasers. Shout out to MF Doom.
Based.
Yeah. I lost my mind for a second. Forgot how to smile at depression. You should be reading these with the Jordan Peterson voice on. But let's just do the favorite
No,
tracks.
let's really not
Yeah,
do that.
yeah. Let's do our favorite tracks on this joint.
Favorite tracks on the album were Audrey Horn, maybe a Butterfly Tattoo, and OMC.
I'm going to say my favorite tracks were Butterfly Tattoo, Heaven, and maybe Tree Nowinski. Those jumps was hard to me. Good job.
I've got Bug Flesh, Butterfly Tattoo, Pale Horse, and Mystery. I think Mystery is incredible.
I love Dirk Nowitzki. That's my favorite player.
This little joint at the end of Bug Flesh where it's like real happy, and then it'd be like, hooray! Yeah. Can I? It's just a little funk on the end of it. Yeah, it's just that little. Yeah, I'm telling you guys.
That little juke move makes a difference.
Yeah, that little
Seriously.
hooray! Yeah,
Like, just
Yeah.
juke them real quick.
yeah. Anyways, Secret House Against Tokyo Based Hip Hop Art and Culture Conversations. Here
Shouts
goes
out
all
to our
the
Patreons.
Here goes all the patrons.
Yeah, you see them.
Love you guys, man.
DJ L Spade.
Just know I'm watching in the comments, man. Don't call me a massage noir.
Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, somebody did get your ass with that shit.
Man, I asked them to explain, though. I was like, explain it. Because had they explained it and I was solid, man, I would have made some adjustments. But I guess it was just said to charge me up, man. I'm just like, dang. Look, man, explain. I'm open to being criticized, but you're gonna have to explain it.
I think I had to go to bat on that one. I might have commented.
I think you did go. You did comment on that one. It was weird. That was a weird. I'm like, what did I say? You know what? I can call AJ Sway's album booty, but as soon as I say I don't like
Was it?
Nah, when you start
Sexy
getting that,
Red, now I'm a sorry.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, I don't like her lyrics.
yeah.
But
You
everybody
can't-
else can call them booty.
Yeah, you can't talk shit about black women without first framing it that you also hate every other woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. First you gotta understand. Like, nah, just straight them down. Pay attention. Secret House again.
Secret House.
Discord.